The forums.
The streamers.
The blogs.
The gamer.
The tweets.
The streamer.
The role players.
The player.
The forums.
The bad.
The blogs.
The good.
The enthusiast.
The spotlight.
The spotlight.
The spotlight.
Good evening and welcome to episode 12 of The Spotlight.
Yes, welcome to the Spotlight on BlizzPro TV, where we cover all of your thoughts and opinions on everything Blizzard, from World of Warcraft to Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, the StarCraft Arcade, Hearthstone, and of course any of Blizzard's upcoming projects as news does become available. But let's get this show on the road, and we'll start by telling you who we all are. And first, we have the original, the Mumble Queen herself, Sosa. Hey, Sosa, how's it going?
I'm good. You know, you guys know how much I love you, and I'm gonna prove it. I got off of Minecraft to be here for you guys. That's how much I love
Wow.
That is some serious love right there. That is serious
Yeah.
love. And of course, we do have the leader of our free thinkers everywhere, Geeky. How's it going, sir?
It's going. It's warmer outside, so I think it's a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good
Yes.
thing.
Let's hope it stays there, right?
That's right.
And as for me, of course, I am the wheelman for this clown car. I am Darrow. So thank you for joining us, everyone, in the chat room tonight. We are so happy to see you. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners. We have a lot of conversations going on in Blizzard community, particularly the WoW community right now. But there is some stuff going on with Diablo as well, as we'll get into. But of course, the big focus is Tuesday. All chaos broke loose. So we're going to start nice and easy with some of the big discussions that have been going on. Sosa, why don't you start us off nice and gentle here with our first set of opinions?
Well, the big thing that happened is that they released the new models for the female dwarf and the female orc. And there is such a wide amount of people. There's such a wide oh my god, you can tell I'm sick. People love one and hate the other. The female orc is extremely popular. A lot of people really like it. Her scoliosis is gone. Her shoulders are more up front instead of so far back. Her ears look so much better. Her head her muscles look more natural. Her face is a lot more expressive. Everything looks fantastic. Literally, the only downside I've heard is some people think that her head looks a little too small, but because we haven't seen the full model yet completely, we've just seen like mostly headshots and that. It's harder to judge, but just the pictures of the face we've seen look absolutely fantastic. Though there is the complaint that her ears make her look a little too much like a female goblin.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where they would do that.
Yeah, they gave them all the details of the ears, but unfortunately, because of the shape and the color and everything, it looks very similar to the female goblins. So a lot of people think it looks just like an oversized goblin. So, but the dwarf female, oh my goodness, there is very, very little that people are saying good about this model. It seems over-detailed, perhaps that's a strange word to use, but where they put the detailing, it really looks odd. It's the dark brown detailing on that light white body.
Right.
Makes it look very, very odd compared to some of the other ones. And the pictures they chose to show are not flattering.
No.
They chose, like, the one picture, it's literally true. The description everyone uses is Steve Buscemi eyes. Because, you know, it's like a kind of thing. Her mouth looks like it opens up, you know, like one of those mythological creatures that the mouth expands three times before it swallows its prey.
Someone was saying that the laugh was like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. I saw that comment on there. I thought it was. I just put the picture up so people could see, and I completely agree. It does.
I think it looks like she has
It's
a great
way too animated. It's way too animated.
Yeah.
And she has a spray tan, so
Yeah, I mean that too.
Yeah, it
No.
looks very, very awkward. Where they've gone with a nice update for the classes we have seen, she just doesn't seem to quite reach the same level of quality that we've noticed with the other ones. So it's a little bit of a letdown, but this is the first one. And we did get a lot of complaints with the female human as well, but until they explained that the reason she looks kind of dead-eyed in some of her pictures is because she wasn't animated fully, and that's what she is designed to, and that's what you're not seeing as the animation.
right.
Right.
So we do have to actually wait until we see these people live and in-game
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
before we can make a full determination, but they didn't do the female dwarfs they didn't do them any favors with what
Yeah.
they've shown so far, unfortunately. So, but yeah, there's a lot of people love the orc, they hate the dwarf, which is the way it ought to be. Most of the horde players agree. So
Yeah. No, the female dwarves have never been super popular anyway.
No,
so.
not at all. I mean, I feel like I should play a female dwarf because out of 9 years of playing this game, I've yet to play the race, and I feel like that would be like the most extreme. But I think that it's a good step in the right direction.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think everyone agrees on that point, that it's at least a step in the right direction. So.
Well, I know back in Kata, I decided to try, because at the time I had Alliance characters, so I decided to try and, I didn't want to deal with the Draenei starting zone again, so I decided to try making a female dwarf shaman, because I wanted to play a shaman, and I wanted to see the new starting zone, see the way they, revamped it.
Right.
And I was impressed with the zone, and I liked the changes they made, but the whole time I was playing this character, I just kept thinking, gosh, I'm ugly. Like, I just couldn't get over the fact that there was nothing going to make the female dwarf pretty. And I ended up deleting the shaman, and later, I went horde, and made, the horde character look much
Down
better
the
as a
dark
shaman.
path.
But,
Dark
yes,
path.
but, I mean, even the older models, I was never impressed with the female dwarf look. I mean, it's better than it was. I mean, than it currently is. But yeah, there's still some stuff that looks a little off. But maybe you're right, so maybe once we see them actually animated.
yeah, like the pictures
and with
are
armor.
doing this. Yeah, the armor will really help. But I hope that they do tone down the shading lines in there,
Mhm.
because they just, for the color of her skin, they just seem a little too dark. They should dial that back a little bit
Yeah.
for that paler skin.
Right.
So, but that's the big thing. And if you want to really troll people, make a dwarf, female rogue, and hide in Stormwind on the holidays when people have to go around hunting the
Yes.
rogues.
Make sure it's
'Cause-
level 18.
Yeah, level 18 for the you've got to have the level 18 female dwarf for the Easter,
Yep.
and then you have to have the dwarf rogue for the, is it the pilgrims?
Yeah, the turkey.
Yeah, I
shoot.
think
Holiday?
so.
Yeah, turkey shoot.
That sounds right.
Hide the rogue, and that is the most fun you will ever have, is hiding that rogue somewhere in Stormwind in a small little corner in stealth, and just announcing yourself in chat while everyone goes running around looking for you. I haven't done that much
So mean.
lately.
So mean. Gosh. You're that person.
She is. She's
I
that-
am that
Ah.
person. I have always been that person.
But she gave up Minecraft for us, so we know she really does
Oh.
love us.
I
It wipes the
do,
slate clean, I guess.
Yes, it does.
Guess so.
But yeah, I'm excited though that they're sharing the artwork, and it's nice to see where they're going and giving us a chance to look at it and start appreciating it. And I mean, I've already seen plenty of people saying, "Well, I want to see this now," or "I want to see that now,"
Right.
and they're waiting anxiously for the next art release. So definitely very cool on Blizzard's part to give us that sneak peek. Now that we have eased you into community discussion, we're going to start going towards the dark side of discussion.
Pit of
Um,
despair.
We're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls. They, on the 21st, posted the first look at Paragon 2.0, which is on the PTR right now. It's being tested. And there's quite a few changes that they're doing, and basically they're removing the level cap, so you'll always be able to earn the Paragon experience points when you got your max level, because you'll always be able to earn more Paragon levels. Shared Paragon levels, so they're account wide, normal and hardcore. So all normal heroes on an account will share the level. All hardcore heroes, etc. Which is cool, and I know some people have had some reservations about that particular change, and thinking that sort of, I think the term was not quite dumb it down, but they felt that some of the challenge was taken out of it.
Right.
The actual Paragon points themselves, so there's a few things that are being replaced with spendable Paragon points. So when you get a level, you'll receive a point, and you can allocate that where you wish, in one of a few different places. So you've got your core points, your offensive points, your defensive points, and you can sort of build yourself up. In a way, it almost reminds me of like a Final Fantasy kind of like some of what they've done in some of the later games, with being able to build up how you want your character to be.
Right.
And there's a bunch of other, some other smaller things, such as because it's account wide, all of your heroes will benefit from the bonuses, even your new characters. The pool, though, is not shared between your heroes, so they'll each get their own set of points to spend independently, but your level is shared. So you're not stuck with one customization. Let's put it that way. Everyone's able to contribute to the levels, and you get a chance to really play with it and really customize it, which I think is really the biggest thing. Now, of course, there have been the naysayers who think that's going too far.
What's a naysayer? I don't know what that is.
I don't think the Diablo 3 community quite knows what that is. That's somebody who's negative about a change coming, in case you need to know. Yeah, I see your eyes rolling there, so.
I find the naysayer is a very polite way of putting what
well,
they
we are a family show, so.
Yeah, yeah.
It's true.
But they give you an example of what it looks like in the article, and BlizzPro put this together really nicely. Nineball, can't talk either. It's contagious. Nineball put it together very nicely in his BlizzPro article covering what they released, and made it nice and clear for everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of community is saying it's being dumbed down too much. Where's the challenge? Where's what we don't want cookie cutter characters, because they feel that all of these customizations, it's going to be like what happened with WoW and the talent trees when we had the big tree system. It's going to be, if you don't pick these things here, here, and here, if you're playing this, then you're not going to win.
Right. Plain and simple.
So that's really one of the biggest arguments, is that Blizzard is trying to make your Diablo character a cookie cutter character. But there's definitely enough people who are positive about it, are interested to try it and actually see how it works, and are actually excited to have a slightly unique character and be able to have the freedom to try and play around with stuff and see how it works with how they like to play.
Right.
Because even in a game like this, I mean, everybody has their own play style.
That's true. That's true.
So what do you think about
Well,
the customization factor?
I think it's interesting. It's going back a little more towards Diablo 2, but without the ability to just pump all your points into a single talent and pretty much run through the game naked with only your claws out, because that does all your damage and negates all your damage and negates all the damage done to you and allows you to do maximum damage. I did play an assassin for a long time. Pretty much just pump all your points into claw and you could run through anything.
Right.
But they're trying to take that away and make you spread out a little more, because there's too many people who would do that, and then they would hit a brick wall and get all upset that they have to go back and grind because they need more health and stuff like that. So they're trying to do this, but people are saying, you know, we just want to take all our points and do the exact same thing I just said. We want to pump it all into this, and we want to do that. And looking through the comments, if you are going to say anything, make sure if you're saying anything nice, you kind of bracket it in a criticism.
Right.
Because if you do say anything nice, you will be torn to shreds.
Oh, yes.
On the
Right.
forums right now. Oh my goodness. The fires of hell indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
The fires
yes.
of hell indeed are burning in the Diablo forums.
What about you, Geeky? You know, I know you play a lot of, you know, similar types of games.
Yeah.
You know, and you've definitely done the Final Fantasy stuff. I mean, how do you feel about this customization style?
Customization is always good, and I think that this kind of fresh approach to Diablo 3 is good, and I think that once the dust settles and people just, you know, get used to it, I think it'll be good. This just goes with any game, but more specifically any Blizzard game, is that change always frightens people. And so, because they're so, yeah, I know, right? So they're so used to playing in one system, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm so used to the system, and I'm so comfortable with it. And then when something radical, quote unquote radical, comes along, they feel really threatened, and they're like, oh gosh, now I have to work and use my brain to learn things and words and stuff. And so, like, you know, I feel like after the first, you know, couple weeks, this is all gonna blow over, and it's gonna be fine, because in the long run, this is definitely needed. It's definitely needed for the longevity of the game, because they need
I
to
think
do.
maybe, well, because it's on the PTR, I think maybe once we get some more information from like the streamers
Well, right, yeah,
and the testers themselves,
Right.
you know, on actual gameplay,
hmm
do you think that that'll calm down some of the discussions?
yeah. They need that reassurance from the streamers, or the people that are, you know, in the PTR, and they're, you know, they're playing with us. So yeah, they need that reassurance, definitely. I do. I need it.
All right, so you hear that? Okay, Archon, I'm talking directly to you, bud.
Yes.
We all need our Diablo hugs. So give us our hugs so we
Lots
feel
of them.
comfortable with this.
Don't be stingy with them hugs.
Yeah, we need our cuddles, Archon. Or
Gosh.
shirtless hugs, preferably, according to some of the comments I've seen. And we're a family show, I forgot.
Whoops.
Thinking of needing a hug, we're going to jump back to WoW a bit here. Well, not really a bit, quite a bit. Sliding down the slip and slide of razor blades. Geeky, let's start off with the first crying game.
Man, there's like so much crying in this section of the show. Okay, so let's start with PvP. There was some big announcements this week about PvP changes coming up. They're really big. I'm going to throw it up on the screen here because there's just so much information to discuss. If I can get the right screen here. Okay, so Castro on BlizzPro staff did a kind of a mock-up of what all this information was, and it's all these changes to the WoD PvP system. Every time I say WoD, I laugh. And so they're introducing this thing called the trial, or the tale of the trial of the gladiator, and it's pretty much just ranked arena competition that they're going to bring in, and it's only available during certain hours. And
No, Geeky,
No,
you got it wrong.
no,
They
he's-
removed that.
oh, they
No,
removed
he
that. I'm
started
reading it
off with-
backwards. I'm reading my notes
yeah.
backwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the article
At
started
BlizzCon they
with-
said that. At BlizzCon
Oh,
they said
okay,
that.
Yes.
They went through
Okay.
this whole thing to
Right.
explain what it was, and then said, no, we're not doing that. Here's what we're doing instead.
Right.
So they got
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
hopes all up, and then dashed.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, go ahead, Geeky.
My
Okay,
notes
sorry.
are all backwards. Okay, so at BlizzCon they unveiled this, and then you know, it didn't quite work out the way they wanted, and so they have all this other stuff that they're coming out with too. There was the skirmish feature that went alongside this arena rank play, and there's a lot of discussion about that. All this other stuff. There's a Spectre invite system that's also being discussed. that was definitely went into a long detail. You can see here the blue post about that. And what I like the most about all this information is that one of the first maybe 2 or 3 comments within this article went right back to PvP stats. Like, all these people were like, let's fix PvP stats. Like, I just thought it was funny because there's just a big information dump, and we're talking about PvP stats. Like, I just thought it was just, why are we going back to this again? This doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys, Darrow, maybe you'll start. What do you think about all these changes? About all this information dump?
The concept for Trial of the Gladiator obviously is very cool. And a lot of people were stoked about, the whole concept. However, people were screaming about how it's not fair.
Right.
Because it's only during certain times. Well, what if they're not available? Then they don't get to do it, and they'll fall behind, blah, 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 blah. So Blizzard just decided, okay, fine, we'll do something else. So they're bringing back the skirmishes as sort of this unranked arena play, and it allows you to queue with friends, by yourself, and you'll get honor and all that kind of stuff, and plus other rewards. And it's just sort of a fun way to do 2v2s or 3v3s. And then they have the spectator invite system. Just have a good old time, right? Hang out, watch people try to beat the crap out of each other, watch 2 paladins stand there for 3 years trying to kill each other, that sort of thing. And I think it's really cool that, Blizzard did. I mean, the article was a little confusing initially, with going into what Trial of the Gladiator was. And then at the very end, it was, but we can't do it. So here's the other option. This is what we're doing instead. And a lot of people were kind of upset to have that rug pulled out from under them. And some of the comments I saw were things like, you make this huge announcement and you start off with, well, here's what you're not getting. What's wrong with you? And it was a lot of crying as far as that goes. And then, like you said, in the comments, somebody, right away had to bring up, well, what about stats? We've got to fix the stats. It's not fair this, it's not fair that, and this doesn't work, and that doesn't work, and why are you killing my PvP game? And it was just, the negativity just went on from there. It was actually quite crazy. And community manager Lore put out a Twitter, a tweet that said, here's spectator invites, and linked to the thing, and it was like, it's here, yay, it was all excited. And there were some people actually replied on Twitter with, I thought this was for beta invites.
Whoops.
Because they saw it's here, and so people automatically assumed, oh, they're telling us betas are here. I don't think Blizzard would announce that beta invites were going to start for the new expansion in a single tweet. You think they might have maybe a little article on the front page saying something like, oh yeah, beta invites are here. So that was a little silly, but people overall were happy with the spectator mode. I think that was probably the biggest positive, was spectator mode.
Yep, I agree.
As far as the skirmish thing, people were just too focused on being disappointed they weren't getting their gladiator, even though they thought it was unfair. What about you, Sosa?
Well, actually, I saw a lot of more people who are excited about the skirmishes than worried, sad about losing the gladiator. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'm willing to bet if the gladiator came out, there would be the same complaints we had for the longest time about the fishing tournaments. In that, oh, this person always wins it because he can be here at this time and I can't be here at this time. Blah blah blah. And I mean, the point of the gladiator tournaments was so that way they would be actively monitored, and it just came. That's why it had to be at specific times, so it could be actively monitored, so there would be no chance of cheating or something like that. They just can't spare the manpower probably, and it just doesn't make sense to limit that to a length of time or a specific time, because WoW is literally international. I play on an American server, and I've played with Brits, and people from Australia are on my server. You literally can't just say, well, it's an American server, so 6 o'clock at night should be fine.
Yeah, that's midnight or 1 o'clock for them.
Or what about the other people who can play during the day but can't play at night because they have night shift? Or what about the people who can only play at late night because they have to wait until their kids go to bed? What about the people who can only play until their kids come home from school?
Yep.
You know, there's so many varieties of people playing WoW that it doesn't make sense to limit this kind of thing to that. And the only way to do it would be to bounce around the time to allow different people access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have other people complaining that they can't get in. They got into it last week. Why can't they get into it this week? Because we changed the time. So no, but I see a lot of people very excited that the skirmishes are back, and this is going to help breathe new life into PvP, because if you don't want to do the battlegrounds all the time, you know, you want to run more with friends and stuff like that, but you don't want to try arenas because they're intimidating as all heck. This is that nice step up into something like that, you know? It gives you that extra little bit of PvP that you can do, and it might turn someone who was, you know, maybe do the occasional battleground here and there, get them really addicted to that, and next thing you know, you've got your next ranked arena team.
Well, right, and it's a pickup thing. I mean,
it's a pickup thing.
Relax, have a good time with your guild mates, your buddies.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and the spectator mode, like you said, the spectator mode is huge. Everyone is excited about the fact that you can spectate now. Guilds are excited about it. Individual people are excited about it. That's going to be huge. And there was another little bit of information on the WoW blog about a tournament gear, which is interesting. I'm still looking for a little more information on it, but from what I've gathered, and this isn't 100% correct, but this is what I'm gathering from people who've been looking at it, and what they think it is you'll be able to get a group together and you sign up, but instead of signing up like a skirmish or a war game or something, you sign up as a tournament against other people, and what happens is that everyone gets kind of like a basic set of gear, so it kind of like lowers you down, very similar to how the oh my god, what's the thing that they're just taking out that we talked about last week? The challenge dungeons.
Yes, the challenge modes,
Yeah, the challenge modes. This is something similar to that in the fact that it will degrade everyone's gear and put everyone on a level playing field for a tournament. So, and this can be used by anyone, supposedly. So it can be used by your top-ranked people. It can be used by a little guild thing. And I've seen guilds, you know, go out and try to make all the basic PvP gear so that way they can run a little in-guild tournament, and everyone will have the same level gear, so it's all a skill competition and not a gear competition.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes it very interesting, and I think that'll be utilized a lot because a lot of the bigger guilds like doing stuff like that. Plus, this will be something that different websites and that will put out, like Twitch and different Twitch streamers will likely hold tournaments because they can use this to make sure it's a level playing field for all the teams.
Well, and the other thing too with the spectator mode and the making everybody equal as far as gear, you know, I can see, you know, doing like shoutcast kind of streams, you know, and maybe some bigger guilds or maybe well-known guilds could even get together and do some tournament type stuff using this system, maybe for charity. You know, like Extra Life could do something like this with the spectator mode. You can have, you know, commentators and do the shoutcasting and have fun with it. You know, I know you pay a little more attention to some of the streaming stuff, Geeky. What do you think about something like that? You know, doing like for Extra Life or some other tournament, some other charity, doing some shoutcasting kind of stuff and getting everybody together to have a good time.
I think it would be good. It would be good for the community, and Extra Life is a positive force in the community, so I think it's all around good. Shoutcasting is so big right now, and I think this is a good opportunity to include this game in that large universe, because there's some big names that deal with shoutcasting on a regular basis. So I think it would be good.
Yeah, it would definitely get everybody together, and you could participate in it even if you weren't good at, like someone like me. I'm horrible at PvP. But if it was for a good cause, you know, I would try this.
Right.
I would get in on a 3v3 or 2v2 team just for a good cause, you know, and have a good time. And I wouldn't have to worry about the fact that I don't have the top end PvP gear. So yeah, that's definitely very cool. Thanks for bringing this to our attention, Sosa. Sosa's the one that really pulled all this information together for us.
Yes.
So
And then
yeah, very cool.
then there was
But we
one
have
little
more.
part. Yeah, one little caveat to add on there.
Just little, yeah.
So it was announced yesterday in the morning in the Americas that Proving Grounds is going to be required for heroic dungeon content in WoD. Yeah. So which is really interesting. You're going to need to get at least a silver, I believe it is, silver medal in Proving Grounds. If you have a DPS silver, you need to go back. Let's say you're a healer and you already have a DPS silver. Nope, you need to go back. You need to go through as a healer, get your silver medal. It's definitely spec specific, or at least role specific.
Right.
So you need to make sure that you have that for the heroic dungeon content, but that is only for random heroic dungeons. So if you have 4 other friends and you queue up or you walk into a dungeon together, you do not need to have your silver medal. This is, gosh, I can't even talk about this because there's just so much emotion wrapped up in it. Everyone thinks, not everyone, a majority of people think that it's a gate, quote unquote. This is a gate.
Content again.
Right. What I find ironic and hilarious is that 4, 5, 6 months ago, people wanted this exact same thing, and now they're all upset that it's
For
like
LFRs,
fact.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember reading articles about it and people just being upset, and now it's here, and now people are upset. So it just goes to show once again that Blizzard can't win. In that, even when you give a crying kid what he wants, he's still gonna cry. So
He's still gonna get the lollipop stuck in his hair no matter what.
it's true, or on his clothes.
Yes.
So what do you
Or your
guys
hair.
think? What do you guys think?
So why don't you start off with your thoughts on this?
Now, this is the first time I've heard about this. This is interesting. I've been kind of out of the loop for the past couple of days due to,
Power issues.
well, power issues, Minecraft, and a very ill dog. So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay. She's better now.
Yay, puppy.
Yeah, but so this is very interesting. And like Geeky said, I remember hearing people asking for something like this for LFR a few months ago. And honestly, thinking about it, I'm wondering if this means that they're going to bring back the challenging heroic dungeons.
Yeah.
Like the Kata
BC
level.
ones, yeah.
Like the Kata, the beginning of Kata, those heroics were brutal.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't the kind of stuff you wanted to just hop into with 4 random people at the, in questing greens who maybe just finished Vashir.
Right.
Right.
I remember even BC with Blood Furnace. That
Yeah.
even that
Yeah.
heroic. Oh my gosh, that was like
Yeah.
running
Or
away.
Shattered Halls, or
Yep.
Shadow Labyrinth. I mean, any of those that were. I mean, they were super long. They had like 4, maybe 4 or 5 bosses in them, and just lots of trash. Just,
It was definitely heroic.
oh, definitely.
Yeah, like that. I think that's interesting is they might be bringing back the heroic level heroics, but they're making sure that if you're in a random group, your people are at least qualified to a certain level. Like they have, I mean, the Proving Grounds are not perfect.
No.
But they at least prove that you can, if you're doing the DPS ones, they at least prove that you can do a minimum amount of DPS and you know how to switch your targets and stuff like that and how to take out priority targets.
Right.
If it's the healing ones, you know how to heal,
How to keep
you
people
know,
up.
how to keep people up, how to dispel stuff, how to do all your basic stuff and keep yourself alive.
Yep.
And
Right.
the tanking ones show that you can keep someone alive and keep
the
all the
aggro.
enemies beating you without dying.
Yep.
So, along
I
with
kinda
this
like
too,
this.
they are changing how Proving Grounds works. So
Right.
we need to remember that
Oh.
it's not going to be the exact
good.
same system,
No.
because right now, and I completely agree with this sentiment, but Proving Grounds don't really teach players anything. It's I've never done it. I went in there yesterday for the first time on a character that I was fresh 90, that I don't really have experience with, and I almost got gold in the first go. Like
Right.
bronze, silver were easy, gold. I mean, it doesn't teach anything at all.
It's kind of
it's a
like when you
proving
walk
ground,
into
though.
to an instance or a raid and you end up, suddenly you get an achievement and you're like, what did I just do to get that? And you
Yeah.
have to actually go look it up.
There was no sense of accomplishment whatsoever. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, got another achievement, cool. Like that's it. So
Well, I mean, they are called Proving Grounds. So all it has to do is that you're prove that you're not completely brain dead and you know how to push the buttons and you know what the buttons mean.
Or at least know which way to roll your face.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, you gotta roll it half to the left, half to the right, do a counterclockwise twist,
Yeah, exactly.
fart out the window, and then you're good.
Yeah. No, but you're right, Geeky. I mean, people were several months ago, waxing nostalgic about
Yep.
gated content, and talking about Encourage and talking about, things like that. And like with even BC, you had to get enough rep to get the key,
Right.
and if you didn't have the key, you weren't getting it.
I want that
And
back.
remember-
I'm sorry. I want it back. I want it back. I do.
And I remember, being, at the time I was in a small guild, and it was always a big thing of, because there was no dungeon finder.
Hmm.
It was, you walk into the zone and you start yelling and hope people are there and are willing to go into the instance with you.
Right.
Like I remember Underbog was like the one instance that once everyone did it for the quest, they never wanted to go back. So you'd stand there for 3 years, yelling to go into Underbog, and everybody would stay quiet. But yeah, it was all about, okay, who in the guild has a key? Who can go with?
Right.
Who still?
But I mean,
needs-
that was even way back in vanilla.
Yeah.
You needed the ring
Molten
for
Core
Ubers.
key, you needed the attunement for Molten Core, and you
Yeah.
needed to do the
Yeah.
whole thing to get into Blackwing Lair.
Right.
And people were waxing nostalgic, saying, we need this again. We need to have these things. It's fun. It gives you a sense of
Agreed.
accomplishment and all this stuff. Okay, so they're giving us a different version, but they're giving us something similar to you have a key to get in, and now people are crying.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean I have to play my class and get a medal?
Right.
You know what I do like though the most about this is the fact that they're saying this is only if you queue via random.
Right.
Right.
By
So this
yourself.
proves that your random group has to have a minimum level of skill.
Right.
But
Right.
if you're in a guild and
you
you
queue
say you
together.
want to carry someone else, like you've got someone who's like, I've just started tanking and I need to get some tank
Right.
gear, you're like, okay, just throw on what you got, we'll take you to heroic.
Right.
He doesn't have to prove his level because
Nope.
we're willing to carry him. And it'd be the same thing with a DPS or a healer. We'd be willing to, a guild would be willing, or friends would be willing to carry them through it. They don't have to go proving themselves because we don't know how hard the new proving grounds are going to be, what's necessary, blah, blah, blah. We can just carry them right through with no worries, which is really, really nice. We had a lot of people actually complaining about the gear requirements in LFR, saying, well, gear doesn't matter, blah, 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 but you had to put some kind of gate there. So everyone wound up the gear had to be the gate. But with this, the gate is only there if you're queuing randomly and you're going to get random people. If you want to carry someone through, you can carry someone
Right.
through. Because I believe it was the end time dungeons. You had to have a minimum eye level to get through there.
Right.
So if you had someone who just hit 85 and you wanted to take them through there to get gear, if they didn't have high enough gear, then you had to get them gear before you could take them through. In this case, you don't even have that gate. Because I remember people complaining about that way back in end time. But now they don't have that problem. You can just literally grab them and go. So it's going to be very, very nice. I think people are going to use it, and it's going to encourage less people sitting around and just doing randoms all day for Valor and Justice.
Mhm.
It's going to involve more people going, hey guys, you want to go, and getting guild groups to go, which is always a positive.
Well, right. It gives your guild bonuses for going as a guild group and completing it. And it fosters that teamwork and that camaraderie in the guild, or it's definitely very nice. And I agree with you, Geeky. Having some type of quote unquote gate, to get into heroics again, really kind of gives you that a little more of the feeling of it is something special. It is that heroic thing that you have to kind of earn the right to go into.
Right. Because this expansion, we've gone away from that. We've been more entitlement, more quote unquote welfare epics with the whole Timeless Isle and all that stuff. This is going to bring it back a little bit, I think, and which is good, which is what we needed.
Right.
So
Well, and I mean, it kind of made me smile to see that there were world bosses again.
Right.
You know, with,
Yep.
with this expansion, you know, bringing in Galleon and the Shaw of Anger and stuff. You know, that was really kind of cool. I mean, sure, if you had a big enough guild, you could do a whole guild run as it.
Right.
But it was really nice to see people shouting in the zone, hey, you know, putting this group together, who wants in? And
Right.
it did kind of, you know, bring you back to that, you know, feel of community on the server,
Mhm.
which was nice. And I think it's really cool that, you know, Blizzard is bringing at least some of those community focused things back, you know, without having the full elitist, you know, ideal come back. I mean, back in vanilla, if you weren't a guild big enough to do Molten Core, you weren't anybody.
No.
You know, and it was,
Good
you know,
point.
so the elitist attitude not being there is cool. Not that people won't still find a way to do it, but at least as far as the comments that I've seen, you know, yeah, it's people are crying about it because they're getting what they asked for, sort of, or it's not exactly what they thought, or maybe they've changed their minds. Come on, give Blizzard a break. They're trying here. They're trying to make people happy. I know they're not going to make everybody happy, but at least give it a chance. Try it out. You know, what's the worst that's going to happen? You don't get a medal, and you just go with guild groups all the time. So yeah.
There you go.
But that is not the end of
Nope.
the crying.
It's never the end.
No, this week has been very interesting for crying.
Oh, are we getting to the big one now?
We are getting to the elephant in the
Dun
room.
dun dun.
So here's, I'm gonna preface this with, we had the you know, Tuesday maintenance, website was down for a little bit,
Right.
website came up, and of course they had the, you know, patch notes, and you know, they had the PvP article and everything else, you know, announcing the changes, and it all got overshadowed. All was overshadowed by a screenshot, single solitary picture. And if a picture can say 1,000 words in the WoW community,
That
it
equals
could say
10,000 tears.
100 million words. Olivia Grace of WoW Insider wrote the article. The screenshot was actually taken by WoW Insider's very own Matthew Rossi. And it was simply a photo of the boost to 90 in the in-game Blizzard store, and it had a price tag of $60. Screenshot was obtained when the servers came up momentarily during the middle of a restart.
Mm-hmm.
However, when the servers did come up as live, it was no longer there. There has been no official word from Blizzard as yet. I'm sure they will be responding to this. I can't see them ignoring it. I really can't, considering the amount of fuss that was made by this. This started, you want to talk about opening the gates of hell? The
Yeah.
speculation war of this century was started by this one single screenshot. Everybody, and I mean everybody, was scrambling over themselves to get their 2 cents in. The overall consensus, it's too much money. I'm not going to do it. This is unfair. And the biggest thing to note about this particular photo is almost every single comment. Now, I'm not talking about the WoW Insider article. I'm not talking about BlizzPro's very own article, or at least even some of the other fan sites that I've seen. Of the fan site stuff that I actually saw, all the articles were very clear to state this is a screenshot that was taken. We're not sure it's going to be there when the servers go live. We're not even sure that this is a final decision. Okay, it's a piece of code. It can be changed. Everyone, for the most part, I'd say 99% of the people who commented on this commented it as though this is now, this is live, this is happening, this is set in stone. I have my own thoughts, but I'm not going to share those because that's really not what matters. What matters is what the players are saying. And I think the three biggest points that players made, negatively speaking, were A, if I wanted to spend $60, I would buy a whole new game. So the price point was too high as far as most people were concerned. They thought it was unfair. Second, there were people who were actually saying that they were done with WoW since they were going to be allowing you to buy further boosts to 90.
Right. Yep.
And 3, have already decided that they're not going to be able to get any further boosts to 90 besides the one that comes free. Well, not really free, but comes as part of your expansion, buying the expansion. That they're done. They can't afford it, so they just won't be getting any more. Sucks to be me. I am very sad for the gaming community at this point.
Right.
It's really, people are jumping the gun. And I mean, everyone's right to their thoughts and opinions, but just try to remember, this isn't set in stone. This isn't live yet. It may not even go live until several months after the new expansion is actually live and out. They could change the price. Didn't they also talk about having lesser cost but other boosts? It's like a boost to 60.
There is speculation, but I don't think there's anything
That
founded
they might
in
do
it.
stuff like that because of like the popularity of like Open Raid with doing lower level content at and do lower level raid content at level.
Right.
Sure, there might be some people interested in getting a free boost to say 60 for, maybe what, $30,
Mhm.
$25, whatever,
Right.
just to not have to go through it, so that they can get in and do like the open raid with their guild or with open raid themselves. Kiki, I know you had some really good things to say about this. I mean, so did you, Sosa, but let's start with you, Kiki.
I liked in the discussion on the WoW Insider post that everyone was trying different ways to equate $60. Like, they were trying to do like, well, if you have a job and you get paid $10 an hour, it's 6 hours of your life that pays for a character, and just stuff like that. There was always different equation scenarios that people were using to try and like justify why 60 is a good price. Or I saw the other side of it where people were like, well, that's $60. Well, that's 4 months of subscription time. It doesn't take anyone 4 months to level a level 90, and I can see both sides of it, even though they're kind of extreme, and I think people made both good points on both sides of the issue. But I did find it funny that people looked at the price tag as, this is what Blizzard says that our 90s are valued at, $60. Right. And I think it's an interesting take. I think that there's maybe a smidge of truth in it a little bit, but I don't think it's like a crutch that everyone should rely on. Like you said,
Right.
This might not be the right price. I liked how a lot of people said $100 a boost would be a good price, which I think is interesting. But
And on the flip side, people were like, nothing over $30.
yeah, because everyone's like, well, you don't want to make it too accessible to the the majority of the player base and all that stuff, which is true. I think 40 would be good. I think 40 would be good. But yeah, and then some people were like, well, can we do like certain expansions that you can boost over? Like someone's like, oh, I hate BC content, which shocked me as the first person I ever said they hated Outlands. They said that, can we buy 10 levels for like $10 and stuff? They're trying to like manipulate the terms so that they can make it work in their favor, which I thought was interesting. And it seemed like people would read that kind of stuff and agree with that kind of stuff, like smaller increment type boosts than the large $60, because people are focused on this large chunk of money, and they're like, oh my god, $60, and if they have 12 tunes that they want to boost eventually, maybe they only have one main, but this is their opportunity to have like 10, like that's $600, all this stuff. So people are twisting everything. Really.
Well, and before I hop to you, Sosa, just on that, I want to make sure that people also are aware that at BlizzCon, when they announced that the expansion would come with a token to give you a free boost to 90 for a single character, on the account, people ask, well, what if we want more? What if we want more boosts to 90? And at the time, Blizzard said, well, at this point, the only way to do so would be to buy another copy of Warlords, and then pay to transfer that character off that account to the account you want it on. And so that math has also been in there as far as, well, it's $60 is cheaper than buying the expansion and paying for the character transfer from account to account. So people were asking to be able to buy further boosts to 90. So on the PTR, Blizzard has, for PTR money, has a little tab for boosting a character to 90. So obviously they've already started working on the live version of that, which would be, of course, real money. And now people are crying because Blizzard is looking like they may give it to us. Because once again, the players asked for something, and Blizzard found a way to maybe do it. And now people are not happy that Blizzard is actually doing it now that they said please. Right. All right, Sosa, what about you? What have you seen discussion-wise on this topic? What's sticking out the most for you?
Well, I'm gonna just bring up an old story.
Okay. Story time with Sosa.
A number of years ago, Sosa and her family went to a amusement park. It was one of these big amusement parks with really long lineups. And you had the option of, when you went in and you got your ticket or you got your bracelet, you could pay an extra, I believe it was $40 for your ticket, which was the all-day pass for everything cost $60 already. So if you paid that extra $40, you got on a special line, though, that got you right to the front of the line of every ride.
Got it.
Now, Sosa didn't have a lot of money, but Sosa loved roller coasters. So all the money Sosa had brought to buy, like, souvenirs and t-shirts and that, went to getting this extra bracelet. Mm-hmm. So Sosa could go on all the roller coasters all the faster.
Sure.
It's a convenience thing, people. I was willing to sacrifice getting a t-shirt, because this is, these big places, they cost a lot for t-shirts. You sacrifice one thing to gain something else. You don't get convenience for free. And that's what this is. This is convenience. You can break it down as many ways as you want, but getting that extra 90 is a convenience thing. If you don't want to put the time into leveling another character, if you don't want to put the time into getting the heirlooms to make it faster to level another character, then yeah, if you're going to complain about how it's taking you so much time to do this, but you don't want to pay the money, well then you're stuck for it, because convenience isn't free.
No.
And what this is it's giving people a lot more options to get up and everything like that without having to resort to third-party companies, which is just going to cost Blizzard more time and money, because those eventually get hacked. Yeah, they'll either get you hacked or they'll get you suspended or banned and all of this stuff. So, this is a way of getting that up there. Yeah, it may cost a little more than that Chinese farmer that you're paying, but at least you're not going to get anything screwed.
No, people have actually quoted the price for those companies, what they charge to level a character.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually quoted the pricing and saying $60 is cheaper than those companies.
Oh, really? Because I've seen 55, but...
Yeah, most of the posts about that were actually saying Blizzard was undercutting them.
Yeah, well, that's actually good. But this is the thing, is it's a convenience thing. And it honestly, some people don't have the time to level it. Our guild master is lucky if he can get on for 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
And this is a guild master who's technically the guild master of one guild, but he's technically the overarching master of 4 guilds, potentially 6.
He's the guild father.
He is the guild father.
Yep.
He's gonna like hearing that. But yeah, so he can only get on for maybe 3 hours. Mm-hmm. But if he has the opportunity to, say, you know, if he goes and he levels his little warlock, but then gets an opportunity to, you know, pay to boost another character, and maybe he wants to get a tank up, so he can go, maybe he's got a little more time next year and he can actually join a raid team,
Right.
but he wants to tank it. Well, he can pay this to boost it up because he doesn't have enough time, because again, he's only playing 1 day a week, to boost a tank up in time to get on a raid team.
Right.
It
Well,
is a convenience thing.
You know, that also gives him 10 levels to actually
Mhm.
play as that tank while he gets to max level
to
for
be
the
honest,
next expansion.
yeah, but to be honest, we all know that the new people are not going to be the ones paying for these boosts.
No.
The people these boosts are for, people are complaining, well, people won't know how to play the class. No, these people that are paying for these boosts are these people who've already played this class on another server and don't want to transfer it over and do a realm transfer and all of that stuff, because by the time you do a realm transfer and a faction transfer,
$55.
$55. So an extra $5, you can boost another character and leave that character there.
Right.
And you get the whole kit and caboodle for everything else as well. So I think that all the people freaking out need to just calm down. All the people who are saying, well, if people can boost, the people who are boosting are the people who have been dual boxing with Recruit a Friend.
Right.
These are the people who've been, you know, paying gold farmers to level their characters. These are the people who just don't want to wait.
Or even
So,
some
yeah.
people who may be ready to give up because they can't level fast enough because they have busy lives.
Exactly. So, you know, you get one free one out of the box. That's cool. That's what I'm going to use. But you can say, okay, I'm not going to buy anyone else, but I'm not going to look down at someone else who does.
Right.
It's the same way I'm not looking down at my friend who is flying around on a Fey Dragon when I've gone and farmed up the Vial of the Sands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've both got awesome mounts. We love our mounts. But I'm not going to say, well, mine's better because I put all this work into it, whereas you just paid money for it. It doesn't work that way. It's a convenience thing, and that's all that there is to it. I mean, it's the same thing when people realm and faction change, or they just even realm change. They bring a character that they've already leveled over. Where's the difference between that and a boost to 90?
Right. Well,
Mhm.
and you know, like you said, it's I mean, it's, you know, convenience. My friend Rob, who no longer plays WoW, he just doesn't have time. But he was there with us in the early days of WoW and raided with us and had a paladin back when playing a paladin was actually almost a death sentence. If you were like, I'm looking to get into a group, they're like, what class are you? I'm a paladin. Go away. You know, but you know, as he put it, when I was telling him about, you know, the crying over the concept, is he says, you know, people need to get over it. They're entitled. And it's no different than buying a mount or a pet, because a boost to 90 is really, in a lot of ways, it's a vanity item. It's not game breaking at all. It's simply a code that changes the number of your, you know, in your character's level, it says 90 instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's not game breaking. And for people who say, oh, well, they won't know how to play it, they won't know how to do it. Okay, well, anytime you decide to try a new class, you don't know necessarily what you're doing. But how many resources are there out there with class guides? I mean, even on battle.net,
Mm-hmm.
they have a whole bunch of articles for all the classes to give you the overview of what to do. We have amazing tooltips in-game that explain all your abilities, all your stats. Even when you're picking what class and later what spec, it tells you what it is, what it needs. So
you realize also building on that,
and
there
you've got
are certain
guildies.
classes, but you also building on that, there are certain classes that change the way they work from tier to tier.
Right.
I've
It's
played
true.
classes where my entire rotation changes because I get 2 pieces of gear. So how does learning how to play something from 1 to 90 do me any good when it's still going to change by the time I'm halfway through a raid tier?
Well, and if you're playing a tank and you're leveling up, right, even if you've got
Mhm.
heirlooms and guild perks, if you're playing a tank, at least with my paladin, and I've seen it with druids too when I've played like a DPS character, you're not really
You're not tanking in
a
those
super
dungeons.
effective
No,
tank
you're
until
not at
you're
all.
about level 50. Is when it really kind of starts
Yeah,
to be
'cause-
more.
Yeah, your DPS